What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our exciting episode of Tech Productions. Today, I'm back up joined again by Fluff and Nick.
What's up, beautiful people?
Hello.
And today we're talking about stuff because there's stuff to be talked about. And we're going to, first thing, I want to knock this out before I don't want this to be the end of the video thing. A good friend of the channel lives in Hawaii, and they were hit by the disaster that occurred over there. I'm referring to Chris Anderson, the one who runs TCG Metals. Good guy, good group of people over there. But there is a GoFundMe happening right now on his behalf. If you're interested in donating, there's a link down below. Just click on there and do whatever you can. I know I'll be putting some donation up there myself when I can as well. But just want to make sure everyone's aware. It's in the description. They are a bunch of good people over there, him and his family. And I will agree, like, Chris Anderson's one of the nicest people I've ever talked to really in the community as well. So, like, just trying to help out people who, needs the help is always appreciated, in my opinion.
Yeah, and even if you don't have money, I think Red Cross has set up something like if you want to donate like a case of water,
yeah,
or if you have old blankets and stuff, like contact your local Red Cross. Like it's a wide, like Chris was affected, but an entire island was affected by this fire. So like, yeah, definitely, if you can do something, do something.
Moving over to these. What was on camera for this week, we have Gogeta taking on Invoker, the 17 one. We have what is that actual name of that leader? I always call it the 17 one, but there's technically two 17 Invokers. Technically, it's the newest one. It's the set 19 one.
I think it's 17, and Warriors are Universe 7.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one's playing Gogeta BR. We have the Ultimate deck, Goku Black taking on Pan. Yes. And then we have Zamasu Wish taking on Starter Deck 8 Baby Janemba. Baby Vegeta. So
yeah.
So, interesting matchups. But yeah, that's what to expect throughout the week outside of our normal banter, such as like we're gonna go over reveals. We will not have I almost said history, Time Wars, history, whatever, matchup this week because we didn't get a chance to record it. And yeah, that's it. We're going to get into the rest of the week now. Nick, last time we talked, we learned that you had COVID.
Well, way to tell the world.
I mean, I guess we came back from Gen Con. It was a great Monday, and then we learned a lot of people had COVID. By a lot, only 2 people actually, but still. And that's just a risk that I completely forgot about. But I think you were ultimately okay in the end, right? Like nothing serious.
Yeah, I wasn't too bad overall. I mean, just felt more crummy than anything. I honestly thought it was allergies until you texted me and said that Emily had COVID. Yeah. And then I happened to have a test and I tested positive. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of the new normal that we're going into. It sucks, but, I mean, at the end of the day, I was okay. I was fortunate enough to not really have it affect me too badly.
I only want to bring it up because I think almost all of us in the call, including Jake now, have been talking about going to Tennessee's regional, which will be September 9th, which is also another big event. So just kind of, something to be cautious of if it's something you're worried about and whatnot. Let's talk about that event. Because also, first of all, what's up, Jake?
What's up, guys?
What up?
Well, yeah, let's talk about the Tennessee event because they dropped some news a couple days ago of us recording this that I'm okay with. I have no problem with it, and that the new set will not be part of that event. Or the regional event. You can still do the side events with the new stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah. So Critical Blow will not be legal for the Goodlettville regional on September 9th, which I think is perfectly fine. It's fair because a lot of people may not have access to product prior to getting to go there. I think the product drops Friday. The regional is Saturday.
Yeah.
So, like, you would have to, like, get your product, build your deck the day before. But, like, in the case of, like, our shop, sometimes our shop doesn't get product for, like, a week later. And I know that, like, our shop is not not an exception to that rule. It happens nationwide, unfortunately. So I think it's a really fair, okay thing. And for the people that are upset about it, shut up. Like, just play. Like, I think we're going to get a ban list before Goodlettville. That'll
there's
probably be in
rumors,
effect. So, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing with as far as availability of product goes, some people aren't fortunate enough to have LGSs near them that get product. A lot of people have to order online, and most places won't even ship the product until the street date in and of itself. So you can still want to play that event, but if you're banking on that product, you wouldn't be able to go. But now you at least have an opportunity to play on a level playing field, so you're not worried about someone having the new hotness and blowing your deck out of the water.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I am curious what the ban list will be. There are rumors that we're going to see a certain leader hit, and I guess it will change the meta up a little bit, but not too much if that leader gets hit.
I know there are definitely major calls for yellow. I've heard rumors of tyrannical blow. I've heard rumors of robotic riposte, and then of course a particular leader. We won't get into that, but if you've been paying attention to like regionals and large events, you know what leader we're referring to.
Jake's favorite leader.
Yeah, it's not like we had inside information. It's just kind of like following trends and
for me, it was literally I just overheard the judges talking about it. Yeah, talking about it at Gen Con. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they were talking about it pretty openly. So if you were there, you might know, but we don't want to say just in case. We don't want to be wrong is the thing.
Yeah, we won't be the channel go, oh no, this leader is getting banned, and then it doesn't. It'll be bad. But yeah, we'll I think the four of us for sure, and I think Jimmy was talking about going there. I'm not sure anyone else from Roller Coaster plan on going to the Tennessee event or not. But hopefully we'll have our 5 this time, and then we all can get silver cards, Nick.
Yeah, I want a second one.
I don't know if we talked about that last week or not. That whole... Did we talk about that last week?
It ended up okay in the end.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I mean, for one of us.
Yeah, I can explain. I don't think we did talk about it. To play in the Gen Con event, you had to have a physical ticket that was supposedly shipped with Gen Con badges, and I don't know if I just didn't get it shipped with my badge. I don't know if I didn't check the envelope, but I didn't have a ticket. So I had to go buy another ticket at the event floor, which put me at last to register. So Jake and Bancroft already signed up and registered, but I was still having to buy a ticket to actually play in the event. And I almost missed the cutoff. Well, I technically did, where I had to take a round 1 game loss. But after everyone was lined up still coming in, I was the only one that apparently missed it. So the judges were gracious enough to let me just go by and overlook it, which was super nice of them to do, and I appreciate it very much. And then as I was waiting to register, there was 4 randoms that were just standing there. They were like, hey, do you want a 5th? Do you want to get it up? And I was like, sure, why not? So I was lucky enough to join a group of randos and get a silver card.
Yeah. Which, like I said, congrats on that. I'm glad that worked out in for you to take a game loss. Because that would have been... Because it was confirmed, you got your Nat invite, right?
Yes.
Yeah, where it got pushed down. And if you would have gotten that first round loss, you would not have gotten that probably.
No, I probably wouldn't have even played. I probably would have just quit. Honestly, if I had to take a round 1 loss. So it all worked out in the end.
I'm curious because technically your first round was a bye. I'm wondering how that would have worked out for you. Like, what if, like... Would you still gotten a round 1 loss if they saw your opponent wasn't there?
Oh yeah. Oh, that would have been interesting.
Maybe they would have put it as a draw.
Maybe
double loss. Yeah, that's probably what would have happened. I was excited for a second, and then we found a very simple solution.
Yeah.
Good thing it didn't happen.
I will say that I probably, even though Gen Con's over with, we're done with that regional. We're going to be doing another regional within less than a month. I'm back to playing whatever decks I really want to. I don't really care. I know what deck I'm going to play in Tennessee, but up to that point, I'm just going to start playing newer stuff again. So this past week, I did bring Cell out to try it out, the set 21 Cell that we've not seen on our channel yet, and it wasn't on camera for a reason. I don't like my deck yet. It has its ups and its downs, and I really wish I could use the damn robot card because I think that would just be a fun tech, even though it's not important to the deck at all. But the deck felt kind of slow if you play against aggro. Like, I will say, since I was on camera, I had 2 games where I played super aggro decks, and I couldn't Z-Awaken. Because in order to Z-Awaken, you had to have both 17 and 18 underneath your leader. And maybe this is where sideboarding comes in, and you could side in the ultimate 17-18s that you could just pay activate main put underneath your leader. That way you're able to Z-Awaken whenever at that point. But not being able to benefit at all on your deck's core engine of Z-Awakening and then kind of cycling to gain the 2 extra lives really sucked.
Yeah.
And
It's just, it's one of those things where a lot of people were really hyping that deck up before it came out, and I think all of us were pretty cold on it. And this is one of the few times that I know personally my analysis was correct, and that this was not the cat's pajamas.
I tried really hard to defend the deck and the idea that, like, oh, you're going to be a battle trick heavy deck. Like, you don't really need negates because you want it to go into the battle step so you can activate EDK and max Kamehameha or whatever it's called. But yeah, it turns out not having negates, not having floodgates when you get paired up against aggro, because there are still fringe aggro decks around. Like, it's just bad.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, I think it falls into a case of too much flavor and not enough power. Like, the deck has a ton of like tricks and stuff it does that mimics what Cell does in the show, and that's all fine and dandy. But as far as competitive viability, usually when we see decks like that, they usually just fall flat on their face.
I will say I did enjoy like what the cards did. Playing the, because I have in my deck 2 of the promos and then like a variety of my own from the set, and all of them do kind of like their own unique thing, which I do enjoy. And just because I swing with them and they're naturally 20Ks for 1 energy is not a bad thing at all. And some of them could just pop cards for just being at 20K. Others can get you prepped for using successor. Can't talk.
Successor?
But yeah, but ultimately I felt like it just, because there are no, like, you can't do floodgates in that deck. So you're trapped down to using practically only 8 negates. And those are the cells that come in the set, which are only free when you're a Z leader, and that's once per turn. And then the 17s. I don't recall if there's any other negates outside of those 2 that you could play. Because you can't use extra cards. And so I found a lot of times where it's like, oh, I could, if I wanted to play 2 3-drop cells right now and get some good damage in, or maybe hit the board a little bit. Now, if they could do a good crackback, I can only negate maybe 1, 2 more times, and then from that point on, I'm dead. I do believe, I feel like the 4-drop, since they changed, they had to obviously errata to some degree to do some things, but I felt like the 4-drop cell that negates should have had blocker. That way you could free do it, whatever, play it, and then you could block the next attack, and then you could pop another card. And then from that point on, you can't negate anymore, obviously, because you have no more energy or the resources are not there. So ultimately, I still enjoyed it. Maybe I'll make a different version of it and profile it or bring it back and put it on camera, but we'll see when time comes.
And what I will say, going back to it as well, is it's one of those decks that it can be fun to play, like Bancroft was saying, but in terms of like getting a high win rate with it, it definitely comes down to the skill of the player and the comfortability of playing the deck. Like, because I'm putting my foot in my mouth right now, there was a list that topped at the Gen Con online regionals, so it can be done, but that could be said with almost any deck if you take the time to learn the ins and outs and matchups and stuff. So it can do well if you put the time and effort into it.
I think that Gen Con one was a green-yellow version of it too.
Yes.
So they maximize on successor and stuff like that, which I think we should do. I haven't seen that list, but
What did everyone play this weekend? I know you guys had Gen Con last weekend. So I know for Jake had been playing Trunks Vegeta really hard. Talk about like your choices to play this weekend. Like,
Oh, I played Red Pan because I feel like after was it 2019, 2021, 22, after 5 years of playing yellow, I think I'm ready to dip into other colors. And
What a time to do it, possibly.
right, I mean, right as all my staples are probably going to get nuked. I enjoyed playing Red Pan. I think it's you have to approach the game in a different way when you're playing red as opposed to playing yellow, but both colors can play guys for pretty cheap. So that was one thing that like helped me ease from one color into the other.
I
You
guess
just
my
have
turn.
to be.
Yeah. Good, my turn. I played Spirit Bomb. I had to dip out early, personal reasons, so I didn't get to play a full game. But I big fan of Spirit Bomb. I like what the deck can do. It's got the yellow staples, so it's going to be defensive, and just like Jake said, it's also a deck that can play stuff for really cheap. So it's got good pivots, it's got good pressure, it's got good defense, and overall, it's a fun deck to play, and it uses the Z deck really well with the Z leader mechanics.
and I had planned on playing Majin Vegeta at Gen Con before I was not able to go, but I tested and played Majin Vegeta a lot. I think that's what I played for like 4 weeks going up like towards Gen Con. So I wanted to change it up. So I played some Moss Wish this weekend. And I'll just say I had 2 games that just melted my brain with like complicated board states, with like 13 branching plays that I could make. And it's like, okay, if I do this, I potentially lose the game or win the game. If I do this, I'm safe, but I'm not really advancing the board state any. If I do this, it's a risk. Like, it was just, I played the first 2 rounds, which were just really grindy. And then I got into the last round, the last game, and that was like the most clear-cut game I've ever played.
I will say, I remember at the round 1, I walked past like is this round 2, guys? And you're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Because you were playing Supreme Kai in your first round, and they got Rebelu out on you.
We went to turn 7.
Yeah.
I think, which is really weird for Supreme Kai of time. And also I realized when I initially built the deck, I ran Trunks Unisons to clear the field. I cut those out of the revised version of the deck. So I had no way to clear the field. So every turn he was overwhelming twice, taking a life. And so by the time we got to like turn 7, he had like 12 battle cards on the field, or would have if not for Rebelu. Thankfully, Rebelu kind of cleared the field for me.
I would say that definitely slowed you down probably too, but at the same time it does benefit you in clearing the board. And for in his sake, it's kind of like, well, they would have been gone anyways, but now I'm getting out of these attacks potentially.
Yeah. It was like I just need, there was one turn where I was like, I just need one attack to go through so I can super combo and pay to a rival Kefla and I win the game. So I'm swinging with everything on the field. I think I swung with a Poutine, and he ended up popping a double strike 24K with Rebelu's effect, and I was like, okay, that was a good exchange, even though I didn't get like what I wanted to do. Like, he just didn't want an attack to go through. So, yeah.
So, pivoting over to, I want to talk about some of these SPRs we're seeing. I know in the past, a lot of times it's kind of like 50-50, and I felt like last set, we didn't really, at least in mine and Fluff's opinion, a lot of the SPRs weren't that great. But can we talk about how amazing these SPRs have been for next set? I feel like every single one I've seen so far looks amazing.
feel like every SPR looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like the card, I love the SPR.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorites was the Go Tanks from set 10, where it's just kind of like the full art from him, and that Gogeta that was just shown gives me those vibes, and I really like that card. I'm a huge fan of that art.
The
Also-
8-drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so good.
I want to point out that if you look at what I feel like they captured the movie art, or at least old school DBZ art, with a lot of those Gogeta cards actually. Like if I'm looking at them, like it just feels like the way the lines are, it feels like old school DBS or DBZ comparatively to, like, if I look at the vacuum card, I can see traces of it being newer looking, but at the same time it has the old style. But when I look at the SPR Gogeta, it just feels like it's from the movie. Now, granted, the color's a little bit off because I don't think it was orange in the movie. Was it orange in the movie? His vest?
His shirt? Yeah.
Was it orange? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
it was
black
that
and
deep
orange.
orange, but
Yeah. But I was just looking at that Gogeta when you were saying, I'm like, man, that looks like it came right from the movie.
I think what they really got right this time, and I know this is kind of weird to say, is the background of these SPRs is so great.
Yes.
Like the 3-drop Goku and Grandpa Gohan.
Yeah, I'm just looking at
you
that one
can-
right now. Yeah.
You can tell that they are actually at Baba's like stadium, and you can see the grass, like where the concrete of the fighting arena stops and the grass starts. You can see the horizon and stuff in the background. And then one thing I wanted to jump on the train of these new blue, yellow, and even the new Janemba SPR. The backgrounds of those look like Otherworld, where it's like you can see planets everywhere, and it's that purple pink haze for the sky.
In relation to the Janemba SPR, I'm a huge fan of that background image where Janemba is like Tetris pixeling apart
Yeah.
in the background. Like, it just looks so good. I can't wait to see what that card looks like in person.
The pictures on the Facebook group, I could post them later for you to look at them, but they've shown us like granted, they're gonna look better in our hands, like just kind of like look at the reflectiveness of it.
That's what I mean. That's
Okay,
what I mean.
okay.
I want to see them in hand. Like the card looks fine on picture, but picture doesn't like give the whole story.
I do remember the secret rare for Shinron, and I'm like, man, that just looks like full. And then when we cracked that pack and looked at it, I'm like, this looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Which the Cumber secret rare kind of reminds me of. And that way, I think the Cumber secret rare is going to look amazing in person.
Yes.
So good.
And we've only seen 2 of the secret rares so far. Right? Yeah, we've just seen 2. We've seen the extra card, Gohan, and we've seen the Cumber card as well.
Yep.
And so Cumber was black, Gohan was red. Do we have any idea what the next one's going to be?
What was it last set? What were the secret rares last set? Because that's usually how you can tell.
Green, red, and black, right?
and
So
black.
it's probably going to be a blue or a blue yellow.
Yeah, because we had, funny enough, we got red again.
Yeah.
And
you know
black.
what? It's most
Well,
likely
we get black every set.
it's
Well,
going to
true.
be blue or yellow or some form of, it may be a mix. I feel like it's going to be a Gogeta card though.
Yeah, it's a high possibility that's my prediction, is that it's going to be something for the Gogeta deck.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
What about like? So we haven't done the traditional for the channel because of Gen Con and then everyone having COVID and stuff like that. We haven't had a chance to really go over each individual archetype. So what archetypes are you all looking forward to playing next set? Like, I know we did, like, we went in and we talked about the Vegito starter deck, and I think we talked about
the 2 green decks.
we talked about the
and
2 green decks and one of the red decks.
No. We did not touch any other color but the 2 green decks.
So just the 2 green decks. So, like, what decks are you all looking forward to playing out in the next set?
Nick, start us off.
Yeah, well, if you guys watched the reveals for the Broly cards, you heard me fangirl over that a lot. So that's probably my biggest one that I'm excited to play. I'm also looking forward to the starter deck. Actually, I haven't played a black deck in a while, and this looks like it's a really good core set, just to fit some good black cards in. So I'm looking forward to that. And then probably this Gogeta. It's looking fun. I need to read more of the cards and see what they do. I'm kind of a little confused on some of the effects, but and then also Red Gohan looks really fun too. So I have a good amount of decks that I want to play this set.
I think for me, Fu has to be number one. Speaking of black decks, the Newcomer Seeker Rare is part of me wanting to play that deck, but even just the 8-drop and the 7-drop Cumber are pretty sweet. The mechanic of like playing your Z battle card and then continuously Z stacking with the same card with Fu's Lab seems pretty cool. And then I kind of want to try out Cell Max. I know it's technically not an archetype, it's just like a pre-release leader, but I think there'll be some fun stuff you can do with that deck and make a really interesting red deck out of it.
And I want to point out, we haven't seen the promos yet, but we do know one, if I recall correctly, one of the promos will be a Cell Max card.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Neat.
Nick and I always do this shit where we're interested in the same decks. So I'm interested in the Vegito starter deck. I'm interested in the blue Gogeta. And then I'm actually really interested in Janemba. I think that Janemba deck looks a lot of fun. Like, I think it's got some power behind it.
We all know me. I'll play everything, but truly, Broly, I will agree with Nick on that one. That one piqued my interest as well. Janemba looks. I feel like Janemba is one of those decks where on paper it looks like to be okay, but it's in once someone has fully like picked out the deck and knows when to do certain timings, it's gonna be a very like chess based deck where it's like, cool, I'm gonna do XYZ in response to your play, and that's why I'm looking forward to Janemba. But man, I can't get past this Gohan card. Sorry, Goku cards from Yellow. Playing the not the which leader? Where's the leader at? Korin and Goku. I feel like that's just gonna be fun to play. I'm excited for that one.
And also, just to remind you, the best skill list to play is the old championship vanilla 3-drop Goku.
Yeah.
That has like the foil yellow background.
Yep.
We have those.
I know.
So it's going to be blinky.
We'll knock out the other videos, kind of going over just us reading the cards and going over if you guys are interested in seeing those. And maybe we'll do it more in depth when the set comes out, but probably won't have time for that. And maybe we'll start doing it next set, going more in depth in archetype builds or whatnot, because that's stuff that I do enjoy doing. Oh, just ideas for future videos, guys. That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, do our job for us.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap this up?
I know, like, so going back to Goodlettville. So I know building up towards Gen Con, I know I burnt myself on playing what I was going to play at Gen Con. Like, it was the only thing that I played. I didn't play anything else. I just got to the point where I learned that deck in and out. So the deck that I'm going to play at Goodlettville, I am not touching until we go to Goodlettville.
I will say, without giving anything away, I feel like you're very comfortable with this deck. Like, this is a deck that you have played before. You know the in and outs, so you don't have to worry about focus on that. And I think it's just more focusing on what techs will benefit you the most going into that event.
Yes, I'm going to tweak the build a little bit. And I'm going to get it put together, and I might run a couple test games just to see how I like the changes. But as far as like playing at locals or meeting up and doing major test sessions, I'm not going to do that with this deck. I just don't want to burn myself out before the event even comes.
Anything for you guys?
Nope.
Yeah, I think as long as I don't play yellow, I'll be good. But if I play another yellow deck, I might go insane.
Well, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. like we mentioned earlier, check out the link below if you're interested in helping out, Chris Anderson, or if you guys any other ways helping out. Fluff mentioned reaching out to the Red Cross. What was it? Red Cross Foundation.
Usually, Red Cross will do like drives. Like, you got to imagine these people lost everything. So if you can spare old clothes or bathroom commodities, I can't remember what they're called, but like anything, toothpaste, hand wipes, hand sanitizer, blankets, socks, anything. Like, these people, these people were forced out of their houses, couldn't pack anything, and lost everything. So anything you can donate, please feel free to donate.
And thank you for tuning in. Keep on those buttons, links. Check them out. They're there for a reason. And have a great day.